What the hell is in those bags?
Rabid Weasels.
Oh, it goes crazy!
No, it's that crap from them tanks! That goddamn chemicals! It's all over everything!
Stupid asshole!
Watch your tongue, boy, if you like this job!
Like this job!
My people. Brains.
I mean, I got something to say, you know? What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
Mister, there's 100 of those things out there.
100?
There we go. Here we are yet again for another episode of Rabid Weasels, and a first. It's a roundtable. I've never done this before. This is the first time ever. So yes, so welcome, Christian.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me
welcome,
back.
Gary. Yeah, of course, man. And William, my good man. Excellent. Glad to have you here.
Glad to be back.
All right. Very good. So, cut to the chase. We're all here because on the 20th of January, Trash's Revenge, not an Indiegogo, what was it? A Cinebacker.
Cinebacker.
Yeah,
Cinebacker, that's it. Got launched. Now, if you've been on the website and had a look, there's a little, like a teaser trailer with Linnea Quigley talking about what's up and coming and stuff like that, and the list of all the tiers for all the Cinebacker things. Now, as we go down the tier list and you see what is actually happening, is we find out that two beloved Return of the Living Dead characters, James Karen and Don Calfer, will be brought back via CGI. Now, as we all know, those two beloved characters and actors are no longer with us, which is really, really sad. How do we all feel about it? Does anyone want to open up the floor? I'll open up the floodgates to you.
Yeah, it's really hard for me, as I said to you before, because obviously I was quite close to Don personally as a friend for many years, so I just don't know if it's right. Obviously having Ernie back in it is a brilliant, but I wish Don was here to do it himself, but obviously now he's not. I think the whole CGI thing for me is a little bit of a concern, because we've just seen it done in Alien Romulus on a multi-million-pound budget, and it didn't look great in some bits. Some bits looked brilliant, other bits didn't, with Ian at home. So I don't know what kind of technology they have at their disposal for this Trash's Revenge to get it done right. But if it isn't right, it's just going to be quite a stain on their legacy if it's not done right. So it's just, that's my first initial thoughts on it.
You're right there. Speaking about Alien Romulus, now you've got Disney, who run that, 20th Century Studios, and you can imagine the kind of budget they had. And of course, they in the cinema release for Alien Romulus, they really struggled with Ian Holmes' likeness. Spoilers if anyone's not seen it. And but they fixed it up for home video release. Now I have the Blu-ray, and it is better. It is. But exactly. But you can still tell it's CGI. I don't think there's ever been any CGI in the last, 5 years that you've gone.
I think the problem you've got is like, even with Rogue One, and you had obviously Peter Cushing come back, and that was probably 10 years ago now, 8-9 years ago maybe. It's something about that. Yeah, the CGI isn't human-like. We just can't get it perfect unless it's AI, and AI sometimes looks a bit kind of creepy. So what we said earlier on, you look at Rogue One, you look at obviously Alien Romulus, which is multi-millions and millions and hundreds of millions, and they still can't get it perfect. So when I was looking at the budget of obviously Trash's Revenge, and I think they're trying to raise 70 grand. It may be a lot more budget than that, but unless you're going to pump in a few million just for that CGI to get it right, I don't know. If there's any, I know there's no additional scenes available of those two characters. Are they going to be as they were then, or as they were before they passed away? Is it Ernie and Frank coming back, or is it Don and Jimmy coming back? Because it's meant to be kind of like meta kind of thing, isn't it supposed to be about Linnea? So I don't really, it's just weird.
Right. I have a whole theory about why they have the plot that they do. is because, well, I if it's this tumultuous relationship between the guy that's making the actual Return of the Living Dead film and Linnea and Beverly's camp. There's situations out there like the Never Hike Alone guys that are making clearly Friday the 13th films with Jason, but Paramount seems to, or no, I guess technically New Line, they're not going to do anything about it because optically that would look that would probably look really bad on them. But because of how tumultuous this relationship is, clearly these people don't like each other. I have a feeling that the director of the actual movie would shut them down if they even remotely use any character that's IP from the script of the first movie. So that's why this whole thing is a meta thing, and that's also why I definitely think it would be Don Kelfa and James Karen coming back, not Ernie Kaltenbrunner coming back.
Yeah, but we still don't even know
so
if they own the rights. That's the weirdest thing. We still to this day,
I would assume so.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, based on
you're right. You're right.
Documentation and the stuff that Beverly's produced, it's mainly the makeup effects or makeup kind of rights or something, isn't it? I believe it's not. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
it's just weird. And I said, maybe bringing Don that, but again, what's the point of bringing Don and Jimmy back when they're both dead? What's the point? Yeah. I mean, in real life, they're dead. The actors have passed away.
Yeah. In my opinion, doing the deep fake or whatever they're doing with James and Don, it's a big mistake. And in my opinion, it's destroying whatever goodwill the series had left, which wasn't a lot.
I mean, the negativity online about it is pretty high, isn't it? I mean, I saw a few articles today where it's obviously got out there now about resurrecting. I think a lot of people are concerned in general about resurrecting dead actors for either AI or CGI. I think people get a little bit tetchy about that because if you want to recast somebody, recast another actor. If you want Ernie back and Frank potentially recast, in terms of it's a flashback, or you want. Again, I don't know where this film lies in the timeline. I thought it was supposed to be about Linnea's kind of character now in Hollywood and not liking. But Don died in 2016, and Jimmy was it 2018? I think Jimmy died. So it's like the actors have passed away. So I don't.
The from the trailer, it's saying 40 years later. The story's picking up 40 years later. So So if they're going to bring them back, they've got to look how they kind of looked before they passed away, it's just odd. I mean, here you go. I was thinking today, right? I was doing something and I put on Return of the Living Dead for background, just listening to it, and I was listening to James Karen, I was listening to Don Calfer, and there's the scene we all know. There's a scene where Bert knocks on the door, comes into the mortuary. And I love it. Don just turns to him and says, "Do you want a cup of coffee?" And he says, "No." And he goes, "Well, I do, because I need it." That you are not going to be able to replicate that in CGI. There's little quirks, the little faces, the way that James Karen looked at Bert. When Don's, I say Don, but Ernie's cutting off the thing on his leg. There's little nuances that I don't think you're going to get. The only case of a CGI character, which I think worked personally for me, was Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah,
and I think the reason why that worked is because...
and he was transparent.
And he didn't speak.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't speak,
and there was no dialogue. No dialogue. It worked
unless they're just doing something really quick. Perfectly. I mean, we don't know yet, do we? Maybe it's a little kind of blink and you miss it, kind of like look at the two of them waving. I don't know. Maybe something like that. I just don't know.
I just get the feeling, since it's a low budget production, that it's not going to look all that good. They'll look more like PlayStation 2 characters if they end up doing it.
Ooh, it's good. Unless they're not using the word CGI wrong and they're doing deep fake, maybe, because you can do some pretty good stuff that, can't you, regards to AI. Maybe they're doing that. But again,
what I want to know is, did they get permission from the estate of James Cameron?
I imagine.
Cameron. Anyhow, did they get permission?
No, I imagine they would have, because I know that obviously Jimmy's wife is very close to the cast and crew, particularly Beverly, and so is Don's family as well. So Evan, his son, is very close. So I imagine they would have said yes. I don't think there'd be any issue there from the family point of view.
Well, I hope that's my thing. Is this? It's just like, if that's the case, they need to openly say that.
Yeah.
Because like I don't want anything to like do bad. But when I did a video on this, I didn't realize how much people are interested in this. That video, for me, this was out of this world. It got like 10,000 views, and I was basically saying, "Why are we doing this?" And I'm sure they saw it. But and I even said, if that's the case, I'll be honest, part of me thinks this is almost like a we got to one up the other guys now. You know, they got videos with Tony. They got videos with Tony Gardner coming out working on the makeup, and it looks like, oh wow, look at that. What can we do? Let's CGI James Cameron. Like, I have a bad feeling about that. Like, time wise, this is just getting announced, right? This hasn't been that long. We heard about this, so optically,
where's the
it's
CGI of Clu Gulager? Where's that? You know, if you're going to bring the two back, you can bring all three back. So again, maybe the family said no to that. Johnny's son said no, I don't know. But it's a bit strange, you know, you'd have those two characters come back and announcements made. But actually, the three kind of like key characters of the older cast, obviously, the three main actually stars of the first film in regards to billing is Clu Gulager, Jimmy Carran and Don Kaufer. They're the three main billing actors. So why not bring Clu back?
Yeah, that's another thing I thought about. Which would lead me to believe that they probably did ask about that. And another thing, it's not like they can, if it's a fan film, like a Cinebacker thing, definitely not paying these families, right?
No. I'm just torn because I want to support, obviously, I'll always support Beverly, as you know, and I think what she's doing is great, and I think it's been difficult for her and the rest of them. I know a few years ago she tried to do another script, which is kind of similar a little bit, if you've read the other script that Beverly did. It's a bit similar to what they're doing now. It's kind of like the actors trapped in the real zombie apocalypse, you know, based on the trucks and tank being real. So, great for them doing that, and great for Linnea as well, particularly what's happening on the other camp. I wish the two camps would just come together and just do a film. Just kidding. I wish they'd have sorted it out, and then Steve just gives them cameos and gives them some producer credits and some cash, you know, and then make a proper Return of the Dead film then, you know, as a cameo where they play different characters and they come into it. That would work better for everybody, I think, than
Yeah. But instead, they've been bickering back and forth, and I was talking about this to Tim in private. It feels like two kids fighting over a toy, saying, "No, this is mine. No, this is mine," and you just want to tell them, "Hey, shut up, share the toy."
Ultimately, it's all he's doing is dividing the fans. Like, when you look at some of the comments on Facebook, the fans are just arguing. Some people are very camp, you know, with this new Tar Man and the new Return of the Living Dead. People want a new film, don't they? Wanted it for the last 20 years, and other people are in the camp of the cast. But then I think the cast have to be very careful what they produce, because obviously a lot of people are loyal to the cast because of obviously who they are. They've got to make sure what they deliver is perfect for, you know, this release. And I think, again, going to Cinebacker, I don't know what even that is, to be honest. I don't know what, you know.
Well, at first I thought, when I heard about Trash's Revenge, I thought, oh, okay, this is fine, doing a fan film with all the cast and whatnot. But then when the CG announcement was made, it just, again, it made me go, what's going on? And being the guy who studied journalism during college, I had to, go out and do some research.
I think, as Christian said, we look at Is It Never Hike Again. They're brilliant fan films that they are. You know, they've got the tonally, the great for obvious regards to the franchise. You know, they respect the franchise as well. They bring in people like Tom back into it. So, you know, if something like that was done, you know, if we were looking at a fan film now where it was a 20-minute short on Return of the Living Dead with the cast back in, I think that would be, you know, more digestible, I think, at the moment. Particularly, obviously, when you're looking at crowdfunding.
Right.
Well, but
something else I wonder about this project is, have any of the other casts spoken about Trash's Revenge? Because obviously Beverly and Linnea have done a bunch of interviews talking about the project, but I don't think
they
heard
have in
anything
terms
from, like,
of
Tom
the conventions and the Q&As. I think they've been very, very united front there.
Yeah.
My concern on both parties now, on the Return of the Dead reboot, whatever it is, sequel, and this, is when you've got a franchise, and if you own the rights to that franchise, like Return of the Living Dead, so you own the IP, whoever owns it, doesn't matter, if you own it, Why are we going to Kickstarters? Why are we going to crowdfunding? Why aren't we going to a studio?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the cult following of this film is big. And even if you found a small independent studio who could raise some money from investors and backers, why when you got an IP as big as this, where you're looking at action figures, you're looking at t-shirts, you're looking at clothing, all that kind of stuff that you've got now, masks from Trick or Treat Studios, toys from Super 7, why are we going to a Kickstarter, even for the other ones that are going to be crowdfunded as well? Why? I don't understand why we have to do that. Why do we have to go to a crowdfunding for a website for the other guys? You know, when I don't understand. You can be making all this money off the IP, which is brilliant, and we all love the merchandise. You know, we all do. I know. Forget about the issues, obviously, regards to Beverly and Co. But when it was all coming out, it was great. But why aren't you using that money to fund your film? Why is a studio not picking it up? A small independent studio. Why is it crowdfunding constantly?
I watched Beverly on another YouTube channel. She was being interviewed. Her and Linnea were getting interviewed. And she said that they took it to the major studios, not so much major like Amblin, I'm not saying like that, but they took it to some studios and they all said no.
They took Trash's Revenge to studios.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, because it sounds stupid. I'm sorry. Like, it sounds so dumb.
Yeah.
I love these people, but I mean, look, if I start out just being honest from the start, I don't have to worry about taking sides. I don't. And I'm not going to take sides, because what difference does it make what side I take? It makes literally no difference, right? I got no control over this new movie's coming out, whether I like it or not. You know?
Well, this is the thing. We've got will the Walsh,
I mean, the thing you've got now you've got obviously on the cast list for Trash's Revenge, you've got all the crew list. You've got William Stout, who owns the rights to Tarman, who actually owns the rights to him. There's no complication there in regards to legalities. He owns the Tarman IP, and you've got obviously Tony Garden now working with the original crew as well. So even like having Tarman in the other one is dodgy as sin. From what I can gather, William's not done a deal with them. So will it ever come out? You know, and
no,
it didn't necessarily bother me about this Carman in the snow. I know why they did it. It was just meant to be quirky for Christmas. I get that. It's not part of the film. You know, I get what it was done for. I get the quirkiness of it.
Yeah.
Kind of some people moaned and kicked off about it. It just is what it is. It's Tarman carrying a very long Christmas tree with a very long electrical cord, you know, through a graveyard. You know, it's supposed to be quirky, you know,
very long.
Here's a question I have. So, does the Cinebagger Trash's Revenge movie, does it have to meet a certain number, money wise, before they can even start?
So they're trying to raise $75,000 for it, and so far it's excuse me. Frame freeze.
I think it's on.
They've raised $4,000 so far, but it's stalled. And I think it's because,
I don't think it's an all for nothing. I don't think it's one of those where you have to meet your target to get. I think it's one of those where you just, and because of direct bank transfers as well to the company, you ain't getting that money back. So you know, it's like you'll pay for it and then it goes straight to them. It's not going through like a platform like Indiegogo or Kickstarter where they keep the money and obviously release it if you meet your target. I'm assuming based on the website, it's going to go straight. It's basically whatever they make, they'll use. So if any make $4,000, well, they'll make a film with $4,000.
I don't know.
Oh my god!
Do you know, guys? I was looking earlier, right? And I started the Return Living Dead Instagram in 2019, really, because I just read your book, Gary.
One,
you know, the big one. I finished your book, the definitive guide, and I was like, I need to talk about this. That's why I created the Instagram. And then from the Instagram, we've grown to the podcast. Now, at the time of creating the Instagram and even the podcast, there was no movies. I was happy to talk about a kind of a dead franchise, to be honest, because there was, you know, the last things we had were 4 and 5, and they were like 20, we're talking 20 years ago, nearly. Mm-hmm. So,
but they were 20 years since 2005.
Wild. Oh, they will be, yeah. It's just wild where we are. We're
I feel like history. I feel like history is about to repeat itself. You know, 20 years ago we got Necropolis and Rave. Fans were excited, but then we got these 2 crappy sci-fi movies that killed the franchise.
because of the legal issues, it's who can make the film the fastest. I know Beverly was trying to go and give Beverly her due. I did some script edits with Beverly in, God, it must have been Don was alive, so it was about 2013, 14. Beverly had this idea for this new movie, and it was really good. The script was brilliant. It was called Return of Return, and it was a really good idea, and I helped to do some like script edits, some scenes, and Don was going to be in it, and everyone was agreeing to do it, and she was trying to ship it around then. And the issue we had back then was Anatoly Fridas, who was the producer of 4 and 5. Because Beverly hadn't asked permission, he just went for her, and he owned the rights then. He owned the sequel rights, and he owned the remake rights back then. I don't know what's happened with Anatoly. I've tried to reach out to him, and he's not responding. I was always very good relationship with him. So I don't know how he's not in the scene now in terms of obvious rights issues, because he made 4 and 5, however crap they were, he made them. And he owned the rights in 2013, 14. He still owned the rights to that franchise. So I just think it's a shame what's happened. I genuinely think, I told you before, James, I think do comics, do books, do anime, do some cartoons, do anything like that to keep the franchise alive. Do an animation with Don and Jimmy's characters in. Do that. You know, I just think this competition at the moment, it's just going to not go well for the fans. I think the fans are going to, as William said, we're going to.
Do you know what they should do? I thought about this. They should do what Kevin Smith does, is go and take a convention. Well, no, he does his movies on tour, but go and do a convention and tour with it for the 40th anniversary. Imagine a con, a tour of Return of the Living Dead that went round from city to city, and you got to see him on the 40th anniversary tour. That would be amazing. You know,
Charles Band does that a lot. He did that with Primevals. He did exactly what you're talking about. He toured that movie on convention, and Subspecies 5.
The weird thing is, it's like when you look at Nightmare on Elm Street last year, did the same thing that you had, Robert, Heather, and that were touring with Nightmare on Elm Street, doing lots regards to conventions and screenings. No one's arranging screenings from MGM or Amazon for Return of the Living Dead. As you said, there's nothing celebrating the original movie. Everyone's talking about this remake, and everyone's talking about this reboot, and everyone's talking. But what about celebrating the original movie? Why is no one doing anything about that this year? And it's about new merchandise or something, as you said, to celebrate. Instead, we're arguing. Well, people are arguing over 2 movies. Well, what about where it all came from in 1985? And no one's mentioning Dan at all in any of this. You know what I mean? It's his baby, and no one mentions Dan O'Bannon. It's just fucking weird. People seem to forget about that. It's him.
That's right. I'm at a point where I still love Return of the Living Dead, but I'm really like, if I try and if like today, I put it on for background just to listen to it, and I try to think of what's coming and just push it to the back of my mind, because it's not tainting it, but it's just there, and I'm like, that's not why I'm here. I'm here for the love of Return of the Living Dead. I'm not here for the drama of Return of the Living Dead. I know that I've covered it on the show with all of you in various episodes, and it makes for great content.
I know
obviously,
not about taking sides, but I was supportive, obviously, of what the cast were doing, and I think it was brilliant. I mean, not involved in it in any way creatively, but again, happy for them to do it. I think it's brilliant. When I read that announcement the other day, my heart sank a little bit. Just and it wasn't even as a fan, if anything. It wasn't as a fan. It was as somebody who was close to Don, and I just thought, I don't know if he would have wanted it. I don't know. Again, Beverly may know him better than I did. No. I just don't know if it's right. And I think, again, going back to it, if it's done wrong, it's going to be just an absolute kick in the nuts to their legacy. It's got to be, if you're going to do it, it needs to be perfectly done. I mean, it's got to look like they are there now. Do you know what I mean? It's got, and unless it's done that like that.
Yeah, and of course you've got, for example, you've got the other company making the other movie, and they're going to be watching what the other guys are doing, and and if it fails in any way, they'll be like, you can imagine they would be, only because I've had talks with him, but so. I want Trash's Revenge to work. Yeah. I do. I really, 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 really do. But this CGI thing. I mean, right. Other people might go, "Oh, this is a bit weird." We are super fans. The 4 of us here are like the four biggest Return of the Living Dead nuts. I think I know, to be fair. So when this gets announced, I knew what we were all thinking. We're all thinking, what the hell?
Yeah.
What? We weren't all going, all right, we'll give it a go. We were all concerned going, oh, geez, this could
Yeah,
this could
and
fail.
my concern is for
This
the
could
cast. I think, I think the fight they've had already with obviously the other company, and I think they've been brilliant in standing their ground and fighting legally, and obviously everything's been dropped, and obviously there's no merit in the case. But I just think you won, brilliant, and I just don't want to see egg on faces because they're brilliant people. I'm not just saying that. I've been lucky with all of them, over the years. When I did the first book, 15 years ago, the first book was longer than that, 16 years ago. And I did the second book and we did a doc together. I've been meals with them, I've been screens with them. And I think, because I hope for their sake, it just doesn't fuck up basically, because they care so much about the franchise and they care about the fans. That's why they've been so kind of like adamant they're not going to be screwed over in terms of this legal thing. And I just think, are you putting yourselves, your necks on the line a little bit here by trying to be filmmakers and trying to push the franchise when just celebrate what you've done, celebrate the amazing legacy of Return of the Living Dead. And I think you don't tarnish it, as William said. I just think, I worry completely.
Gary, it took me a second for it to click. I have done so many videos based off of this book. This book, this is God's honest truth, changed my... Now, I'll joke about Necropolis and Rape to the Grave all day long, but reading this book made me say, guys, you got to learn about what happened, though. With Billy Butler...
Yeah, but it does, and that's why
but dude,
we gave thank you.
My favorite book... This book is, I'm sorry, this book made me a bigger fan of every movie, not just the first one, especially Necropolis, Raven. I can't hate them.
No. And it is, and
it changed my whole perception.
The intention was to make some good movies, and he just fucked up. But again, that book was released in 2009. Well, why aren't we doing stuff like that now for the 40th? Why aren't we looking at the franchise from a different perspective, looking at the impact it's had? I know we've already covered it. We've done 2 books and we've done a documentary, but there could be more we could be doing about, I don't know. I just think there could be a lot more.
I don't know. In my opinion, and I'm not doing this because you're here, although it's partially. This was a better tribute to Return of the Living Dead than what's going on with Trash's Revenge.
Yeah.
Because you took his treatment that Calfa had written.
Yeah,
and you turned it into a comic book. You made it something that people could actually experience.
And that's what Don wanted,
and show
as I said,
what could have been.
It has the original cast in it, and they're obviously cartoon form, graphic form. That's great. You can get away with that. We weren't going to make it into a movie and try and reenact it. Now and with CGI and the same cast or whatever. And I think what we're doing for the 40th anniversary is re-releasing that book, Revenge of the Living Dead. We have a new cover art, re-releasing it. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
$700 on eBay.
Yeah, but we're working we're working Beverly on that as well. So Beverly obviously has basically gave her blessing to it. So is the rest of the cast and crew. We're gonna have a section at the back about Don's life. So as a celebration of Don, which we didn't put in the first one, which we should have.
Nice.
So that's what we're doing for the 40th. It's a little bit about kind of like Don's impact on that film and about who he was, and that's what should be happening from I think Steve Walsh's gang, and obviously. I said, do screenings, do Q&As, do conventions, do Europe. The crew the cast haven't really been over here. I think, just do stuff like that.
Massive,
as opposed to trying to make a movie. And I just think, and again, it's just weird for us, and again, it's not been like a big head, but like we've never been approached once about our, me and Christian Sellers about obviously our input at all. Considering we wrote 2 fucking books and documentary on the thing. Never been asked, and so this is where we are now. We've got 2 movies and we've got 2 actors who are dead coming back to life.
It's just not going to work. I'm sorry, it's not going to work.
I've talked to a number of people about this that are in my kind of circle, and honestly, more of them are more upset about they don't like the story of it over the CGI.
Yeah, because it's like, I kind of like the idea at first, sort of doing, expanding upon the meta angle of the first movie by saying that Return of the Living Dead was based on real events. But then what made it confusing was calling it Trash's Revenge. Because it's like, hold on, this character got blown up at the end of the first movie. Why not have it just be Linnea playing a fictional version of herself?
Yeah, I'm confused. I read or listened to obviously the synopsis, and I was really confused what was going on because I didn't know if it was Linnea herself who had basically played Trash and was doing conventions and had this thing in her basement and lived in a mansion, or this normal woman who played Trash who had the basement. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's what makes it so confusing because they really
because Beverly's original treatment was about the cast going to a convention in Louisville, and the tanks were stored there, and obviously the zombies come out, and then you've literally got Jimmy Karen fighting zombies with Beverly Randolph and Clu Gallagher and Don Carper. It would have been good. We're going to do it as a comic at one stage as well. It would have been brilliant, and it was like, again, I wish. Again, you can't do it now because obviously, we've lost Clu, we've lost Jimmy, we've lost Dom. It's obviously hard to do.
Well, that's the other thing. If they were going to do Trash's Revenge, I figured instead of trying to do a live action thing where as a result they're trying to deepfake 2 actors who are no longer with us, just do an animated film. And that way you could still have those actors appear, but they're voiced by somebody
we bought Trash
else.
back.
Although I know in the studio, they probably, even if they did as an animated film, they'd probably still get like AI voices to imitate James and Don.
Someone put a Pixar thing out, a little trailer, and that was quite funny. It was quite quirky.
Yeah.
But we bought Trash back in Don's Revenge of the Living Dead, so she has a cameo appearance in that. So she can come back from the dead. Obviously, the army fucked up where the nuke went, typically. But I'm confused about this whole mansion thing and about. And it's been filmed over here as well in the UK. Again, I wouldn't film over here. I mean, what they should have done before announcing Jimmy and Dom, they should have showed some test footage. They should have gone, listen, we can do this.
Yeah.
We've got the rights to do it, the family rights. This is an example, a 10-second little example of what we can do. That would have then stopped all this kind of concern from people. Because don't forget, we didn't see Peter Cushing
all the negative
until literally, back of his head in the trailer. Nobody really knew he was going to be in it as much as he did they, in terms of Rogue One. And that's fucking Disney kept that really to get it right and perfectly right. They didn't even announce he was going to be in it, and then suddenly he's in it, and it worked to a degree. But that's a multi-million project, and they were scared to announce it.
Yeah, and it's still. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like they're putting all the eggs in the basket.
I get why. I think William said I get why. Yeah, because you said it's based at competition element. You've got Tony Gardner, you've got Tarman, you've done a trailer, and cinematography wise, that trailer would look nice. It did. It looked like a film. People go about fan film. Yeah, it looked nice. It was shot nice. It went on a bit, but it was shot nice. It didn't really show us anything other than Tarman with a massive extension cord, but. It wasn't bad. It wasn't amateur. And then now someone's going, oh shit, what do we need? We got to get, I'd rather Jimmy and Don not be in it. I'd just rather them not be in it. I think that because they're dead. I think that's fine.
Or just have a clip from Poltergeist in the background, or Weekend at Bernie's playing on TV.
Acknowledge their impact and legacy in that film. So just. By mentioning them and saying, if Don was here now, he would have said, that's it, it's done. A little quirky thing, a picture of Don on the wall, a picture of Jimmy. That dedicated to their memory, that's what's more important than trying to go. And as you said, Don and Jimmy are so quirky. And, Don's massive bug eyes, how the animation of them eyes alone is going to cost you a fortune.
Are you guys let me ask you this. Are you guys keeping up with that YouTube channel? It's called With ANO Productions.
I've been watching it.
On and off.
So I think it's
that's
Walsh's channel.
It is.
Yeah.
So I actually, before I came on here, I did a video with my buddy talking about this for my channel. The video they posted of Tony Gardner fitting that guy. My buddy was like, that guy played Barlow in the Salem's Lot that just came out. And that surprised me. So, I mean, Tony's not doing that for free. So Steve Walsh has to be paying Tony for live casting and all that. So,
well, he's doing both. Tony's doing both.
Yeah, we talked about that too.
That's what makes it confusing. Is like
Tony don't give a fuck. He's got to make that bread. You can't hate on him.
Yeah,
Tony's got to pay his bills.
Skills to pay the bills.
A job's a job, isn't it? At the end of the day, you might have the connection to the first one and the first one only, but I think Beverly said that on an interview that Tony's working with both because to Tony, it's although he loves the movie, it's work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'll tell you what, I'll write a book one day about the mess, what's happened in the last year. That'll be
I'll collaborate. CHH, let's collab and do a video called "What the Hell's Going On with."
But again, it might be that in a year's time we have
just
2 fantastic films released. And it might be that, I mean, I'm trying to be like as positive as possible. It might be that we have some really, and Steve Walsh made an amazing job at keeping the franchise going in terms of the Trioxin theme and Tarman and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't announce that. Hey, we're doing.
I'm surprised they haven't done Clue.
That
that shocked me. Again, maybe it's something to do with some obviously permission from the family. I'm surprised because Jimmy and Don are a fan favorite, but so is Clue. People love that character, but I just don't. It's just Don didn't have him in Revenge of the Living Dead because when Don wrote Revenge of the Living Dead, obviously Clue had such a bad time on the original film. He knew Clue would never come back.
Yeah.
When we redid Revenge of the Living Dead years later, obviously, when me and Don were talking about it before he passed away, we decided to put a cameo of Bert at the end to give as a kind of little bit of a tribute to Clue, because it's like he's not in the story, but it has to come in the very end. So the last panel is there he is Bert coming back, and it's like
amazing.
Why would you not have Bert in your film if you're going to have Jimmy and Don?
Yeah, because I think the legacy of Don, James, and Clue together is the first quarter of the movie.
It's very strange for 1985 as a film, having 3 older actors leading your film. It really is strange, and you think about it. The lead actors in it, the 3 leads. Obviously, the youngsters are obviously important as characters, but to have those 3 people as like the heroes, basically, especially Don and Ernie and Bert, I bet the heroes of that film, them 2 are. I bet the people that basically get shit done and obviously try and save the young kids. Yeah. It's unusual for a film, Ben, when you think about, Not Around the Street with, Nancy, and you think of all the Friday 13th films with obviously a teenager. To have 3, so their legacy is so important, and it's so, so important to protect as well, their legacy is, so it has to be done right, as Kevin's saying over and over again. It just has to be done right. And I know Beverly will do everything she possibly can to make sure it's right. I know she will. She loves Don, absolutely loves him, or loved him. But if it's not, she's not the one we're going to be sitting there doing the CGI. Is she going to be given like this is it, that's all we could do, we can't go back, and then Don's got like 4 eyes and and he's got like red hair, it's just, and twitching. It's like it's going to look terrible.
When it comes to the CGI, right? Watching Return of the Living Dead today and popping my head in and looking at some clips, right? When Frank is telling Freddy about, the classic Night of the Living Dead and, the barrels down there, if you look, because James Cameron is what? Was he 46?
Don was 40 when he did it. About 44 when he 45, Don. I think Jimmy may have been 50, because Jimmy was a lot older, about 10 years older than Don, I think Jimmy was, in real life.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so you got that scene where he's telling him, the corpses and stuff like that. But if you look, he's a 50-year-old man, and he has, like any 50-year-old man, I'm nearly 50, and he's got like little bags under his eyes. Yeah. Will they include that in the CGI?
Well, the thing is, but again, if we're looking at Jimmy and Don before they died, I mean, Jimmy never changed, actually. Jimmy looked, when I met Jimmy in LA, went for a meal with him, and he looked like Jimmy. He looked like Frank, and he was like 90. Whereas Don changed a lot. Don did, because don't forget, Don was a lot more puffier in the face. That wasn't his natural hairstyle. He started to lose his hair. Don went very gaunt as he got older. And actually, if you saw Don at a convention, you probably wouldn't have known that was Ernie unless you saw the poster. And I know, as a massive fan, there were certain times you sat with Don and a little mannerism, a little quirk, oh, fucking that's Ernie. But because he looked so different, and and he did, I think, are they going to make Don Kauff? And also, I love Don, but the fans want Ernie and they want Frank. Do they want Don Kauff? How old was Don when he died? He was 72, I think, when he died, something like that, I think he was. Do they want a 72-year-old Don Kauff? And what would the 72-year-old Don Kauff contribute to a story? And what would an 89, 90-year-old Jimmy Carran contribute to a story? And that's what I just think, that's going to be interesting as a fan and as a friend to him, what they're going to do with him, really, because as I said, most fans wouldn't know, most fans know Don's name, of course they do, but when they think of Don, they think of Ernie. I do. I love Don. As I said, I always think of Ernie in my head. That base, white hair, bug eyes, earphones, burgundy jet tracksuit comes in my head constantly when I think of Don. So it's just going to be,
What we need is a little side movie like the Star Wars stories and have the history of Ernie Kaltenbrunner. How he became where he became.
Maybe Elon Musk can play him. But so I think all that kind of stuff. It just again, I think it's easy for us to surmise and easy for us to kind of like make comments when we don't know. But it's not a good start. We haven't got a good start. We haven't got a good baseline, really, have we? This announcement on a crowdfunding site for 75k, we're going to CGI 2 beloved characters who are dead for 75k.
That's the issue, is they are beloved. Wonderful. It's been superb to chat to you guys. Thanks for coming on and talking Return of the Living Dead, because we love it, as we always do. And we are going to have to come back when we find out some more stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you're all good for it. That's the best thing. I love it.
Cheers.
I love it.
I'm sorry, go on.
Right, guys. So before we... Cheers. No, that's all good. It's all good. Thanks for coming on. Like always, I always end the episode with the classic. I want to say something to you, and I mean this sincerely. No matter what happens,
name it after William.
Don't name it after me.
No, after CHH.
I'll take it.
Cheers.
Spectacular results, sir. Very close to optimal placement. Well, sir, only 20 square blocks destroyed. Less than 4,000 dead, General. I wouldn't worry about the fires, General. The rain is taking care of that right now. Well, there have been complaints about burning skin, but I shouldn't worry. Minor irritation, General. The rain will wash everything away. That's correct, sir. All should be back to normal by morning. Yes, sir, I understand the President will visit Louisville tomorrow. No, we wouldn't want that to happen, sir. No, sir, this hasn't been very pleasant for anyone. Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Christ, it ain't dying!
I thought you said if we destroyed the brain, it'd die.
It worked in the movie!
Well, it ain't working now, Frank.
You mean the movie Live?